Yeah, I'm gonna check it out here. So here we go, wide open throttle. You hear that? Every gear shift, it feels that way. It's very good. Man, it has like a really throaty sound. Welcome to Drive Culture. I'm Jonathan Rivers, and today I have a 2025 Volkswagen Golf GTI S. And I'm going to tell you why this might be the best trim in the entire GTI lineup. So we'll go over the exterior, the interior, the powertrain, and of course, take it for a drive. So if this is content you're after or you're new to the channel, please be sure to click that bell to subscribe to come back for more. And with that, let's get after it. Now, guys, here we are with a Volkswagen Golf GTI S. But before we get into specific trim level stuff, let's talk about the Golf GTI here for a second, because this car has a storied legacy, right? And all the performance enthusiasts know all about it. But let's just go back to the beginning, 1974, when the Golf and the GTI came out. And it was at that time, right, where all of a sudden you were introducing these like entry-level cars with bigger engines, really kind of creating this like hot hatchback segment, right? But since 1974, they've had 8 different generations now of the Golf and the GTI. And in this one, this is now the 8th generation, right? MK8 for all the Volkswagen fanboys. But particularly, this car we have here today is the 8.5, right? So what Volkswagen does is whenever they do kind of a mid-cycle refresh or make some product updates, they go a .5 after that generation. And so all the, again, VW guys, you know that. But so this is actually Mark 8.5. Now, Mark 8 came back, was at 2020, and now we are in 2025. So it's been a few years, and they've completely added some new styling. They've updated the infotainment, gave it a little bit more power. And so we're going to go through all those details. Now, particularly for this 2025 Golf GTI, there's 3 trims. And so like I've been calling it, this is the GTI S. So it's like the entry-level trim in the lineup. There's also an SE, and then there's a fully loaded Autobahn trim, which gives you all the bells and whistles. Now, the base MSRP on this Golf GTI S is $32,445 MSRP, not including, paint, DNH, and other options. But even this one here, with just the very minimal options it has, and even if you were to add in DNH, it makes this car under $35,000, which is quite frankly pretty amazing considering the competition, but also considering that the fact that the average price of a new vehicle these days is $50,000. This doesn't seem that bad, especially what you get considering its performance. Now, the one that we have here is painted in what's called opal white pearl. So it's a really pretty color, and it really helps to show off the character lines, which again is a very simple, kind of clean European design here. But next, let's go ahead and do a full exterior walk around of this 2025 Volkswagen Golf GTI S. All right, guys, here we are with this 2025 Volkswagen Golf GTI S. And like I said, this is essentially the entry-level trim for the Golf GTI. And as I mentioned, you can step up and get things like the SE trim or the Autobahn trim, which is fully loaded. But quite frankly, they don't really look a whole lot different than the S trim. So, even though you've got the entry-level trim, it still comes well equipped. And it even has a pretty nice design and wheels here on this S level trim. But like I mentioned in the exterior, this one's painted in that white opal pearl paint. And it looks really good, right? Honestly, again, this car is very kind of unassuming. You wouldn't think it's kind of a hot hatchback or that it's, in particularly fast. I mean, it just looks very kind of commuter car look to it. But I think that's always been the appeal of the Golf GTI, the fact that you can still get like hot hatch performance, but not be shouty about it or really stand out. Probably definitely help save on some of the tickets you could avoid. So, again, I think the clean styling really plays into the character of the car. So let's talk about some of the styling elements. Like I said, this is the 8.5 generation, so they've made some very, very small tweaks. It's always about small refinements for the Europeans here. So you got some really strong character lines in the hood there, kind of come down to the front grille. Got that huge Volkswagen logo there. Kind of a nice red accent that really carries across the entire grille and actually like splits into the headlights. So that's a really nice accent piece that goes there. And you can see, like I said, it actually goes into the headlights, which are very premium, right? Volkswagen and their luxury brand Audi are very good with LED lighting. They're kind of like, known for that now. So you got a very premium headlight design there. Like I said, the Volkswagen logo, and then GTI off to the left in red. If you kind of come down below, you can see you got a lot of honeycomb mesh here. In the center, it's actually exposed. You can see the intercooler behind it. We'll talk about the powertrain here in a second. You have that big sensor there for all of your like ADAS safety equipment. You do have some parking sensors up front. You got 4 of them there. And you also get LED fog lights, which are kind of like integrated into the honeycomb design here. So that looks really nice. Again, very well blended in. Let's go ahead and take in the entire side profile here of the GTI. And so, like I said, it's very unassuming. This kind of looks like a normal little hatchback, right? Which is fine because, again, that's what the GTI's always been about. So next, let's go up. You can see you got some side markers here. They're clear, which is nice. And then let's take a look at the wheels. So this is probably the one thing that like kind of gives away that this car has got some good, performance chops behind it, right? Because you're talking with some really nice Pirelli, P0 tires, right, guys? So, and, what we're working with up front here are 235 40 ZR18. So you got some 18-inch wheels, these big like bent 5-spoke wheels, the Volkswagen logo there with a nice little red ring around the logo. You got some good performance brakes there. They're kind of hidden behind the big spoke of the wheel, but you can see that the calipers are painted red. And again, it kind of starts to show that this car's got a little bit of performance chops to it, right? So as you're coming along the side, again, another GTI badge, singular letters right there on the door. You come up to the mirrors, very premium in design. LED turn signals look really nice. Now, this particular car has got some tinted windows, but that's really the only modification that it has. You can see there's a kind of black side sill spoiler that goes along the length of the vehicle. As we get to the rear, let's go ahead and take a look here. So again, it's a square setup, but you can see in the back, even in the back, they have red painted brake calipers, smaller, calipers and pistons in the rear, but again, it's still painted at least and kind of hidden behind that rear wheel. So let's just take a quick peek around the rear. Again, very unassuming. You would think this is just a normal commuter hatchback, but here we are with the back of the Golf GTI. So, one of the nice things is they've still spelled out GTI in red right behind the big Volkswagen logo, which is really cool because that kind of like pops out to expose the rear view camera. You do get some pretty premium LED tail lights here. Very simple in design, but again, using the latest LED technology. You have a nice little roof spoiler here. The antenna is painted in a gloss black, even on this, white opal pearl paint. So that's a nice little accent. Of course, you got a rear wiper. Again, it's all about usability with this kind of car. And really, that's it. So very simple badging, not a lot of chrome badges or anything on the back. You also have this kind of like nice black kick plate, right, which helps, or this whole rear bumper like getting scuffed when you like take things in and out of the cargo space. If you come down, you can see you've got this kind of plastic diffuser that goes along the rear, and then pretty nice dual exhaust. I mean, nice big chrome finishers for the exhaust, including 4 parking sensors as well. So good features throughout. Again, it's, if you're not a Volkswagen diehard fan, you may not know which generation is which, or that this is even the 8.5, refresh version because overall they have a very evolutionary design language, and they only make very minor detailed updates throughout the life cycle and throughout the history of the car. So anyway, I think we've covered everything on the exterior of this Golf GTI S. So next, let's go ahead and hop inside to talk about the interior. All right, guys, here we are inside this 2025 Volkswagen Golf GTI S. And, like I said, this is the entry level trim in this GTI lineup. But honestly, when you step in, I'm not sure you'd think that's the case because it has a lot of premium touch points, especially given the price point, right? Just under $33,000 base MSRP. So, first and foremost, let's talk about the dash design here. So, you got great visibility out front, out the sides. They even got these little like cutout windows here next to the A pillars, right? Just to give you that extra little visibility, which is very much appreciated. But the overall dash, it does have kind of like soft touch materials up top. It has this kind of like faux carbon fiber material that carries along the top of the dash. You have premium AC vents here that kind of stretch across the entire dash design as well. Again, overall, it looks pretty good. The steering wheel here, it's a very nice diameter, very good thickness. It has an interesting shape. Like on the bottom ridges here, it has an extra little like bump to kind of keep your hands in place. So that's interesting. On the top, it's a leather. On the bottom, it's a smooth leather. On the sides, it's like a perforated dimpled leather. It does have red contrast stitching all the way around, kind of the chrome Volkswagen logo here in the center. One of the big changes, right, as I mentioned, this is the like kind of mid-cycle refresh, that .5. So for this 8.5 is they changed the controls on the steering wheel. And I'm sure all the Volkswagen fans are going to know this, but you know, in the previous refresh version, everything here was kind of like a almost like a haptic style button. It wasn't an actual push button style. They've now, based on customer feedback, changed it. So it's kind of like hard buttons here. There's a lot of buttons, admittedly, but each of them is a singular button that you can push or hold. And so that helps with overall usability. So you got all of like kind of your, audio stuff here on the right, all of your cruise control stuff here on the left. You do even get a heated steering wheel on this base trim, so that's very nice. It does say GTI down here at the bottom with some nice black and red accents, and it does come with paddle shifters. So we'll talk about the transmission here in a second. But I will say the paddle shifters are kind of small, so it doesn't really bother me either way. But they are on the small side. You got premium stalks for your wipers, cruise control, things like that. That's very nice. Um, but next, let's go ahead and talk about this center console area. So as you make your way down, there are some kind of like hard buttons here in the center of the vents for climate control, your hazard switches, getting to the menu of your infotainment, which we'll cover in a second. But as you come further down, you do have two USB-C charge ports, which is nice. You also get a rubberized mat area here for your phone. You come back, you got a nice piano black treatment, which takes you to all of your transmission controls. And if you've never driven one of these cars before, it might take just a little bit to get used to. So you have a nice big silver engine start stop button. It kind of flashes, looks premium. Behind that, you have a singular P for park, and then you have this little like knob. That's your gear selector knob. And of course, we'll talk a little bit more about it during the drive, but that's how you shift gears. Coming further back, you do have an electronic parking brake, but Volkswagen doesn't do the brake hold function. So let me know your guys' thoughts and comments down below. Would you like that function? Is it a deal breaker if it doesn't have it? Next to it, there's a nice little slot here so you could easily put your key fob or something like that. Coming back further, you do have a cup holder here for actually two of them, but the second one also has a place where that can communicate with the key fob. You have a 12-volt socket here, and then for this center armrest, so it's kind of an interesting design. It is like this leather material with contrast stitching. So essentially, there's a little lever here. You pull that up, and then you look inside. It's a nice little deep area here. But what's interesting is like how you push it back down. It kind of adjusts the height of the armrest, and then you can actually pull and extend it out. So you have a lot of like adjustability in the ergonomics there. So that's quite interesting. But next, let's go ahead and talk about the infotainment for a second here. So in the center display, you have a huge 12.9-inch color touchscreen. It's very, very big. And yes, you do get wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility. It's very high resolution. There's lots of customization here. I will say for like the buttons, well, they're not really buttons. They're like this kind of, again, almost like haptic style control for the climate, for the volume. You kind of slide things up and down, or you control things in the touch screen by pushing. So not a lot of physical buttons here, but still a nice display. Then right in front of you, you do have what Volkswagen calls the virtual cockpit pro. So, you've got a digital instrument cluster right in front of you. It's also super high resolution, has all kinds of customization, and can really show a lot of different menu options, which is very nice. But next, let's go ahead and talk about these seats. So, they're kind of a thing for the Golf and the Golf GTIs, particularly. They all of a sudden, when you step up to the GTI, you've always been getting very premium seats, right? And in fact, these are kind of the foundation for the seats that go into the Golf R, which is a whole nother level of price and performance. But the GTI seats are really, really nice. They're actually a fixed headrest design, so there's no adjustability there. But they have nice shoulder bolsters. Side bolsters here are pretty aggressive, and pretty aggressive lower hip bolsters as well. But it's like this, like kind of soft, almost like suede-like material on the inside of the bolsters to keep you in place. It does say GTI stitched in red. That looks really nice. Also has some like red leather accents like towards the back of the headrest, which is really premium. And then here in the middle and the lower part of the seat, and this is what's kind of like, been carried on for generation after generation, is this kind of plaid seating surface. So it's like black, red, gray. Looks really premium, right? And it's something that the Golf GTI and some of these performance models have been known for in the Golf lineup. Lastly, let's just talk about some other things like the fact that there is no moonroof on this trim. So again, that's part of being in the S entry level trim. But you do have a very nice headliner design and a very premium control area for your lights up above. But let's lastly talk about the doors here. So very premium, like kind of like softer touch materials at the top, a little bit harder plastics at the bottom, but very premium controls for all your window controls, your power side mirrors. You don't get memory seating because, as I forgot to mention on the seats, they are three-stage heated seats, which is very nice, but they're kind of like this mix of power and manual. So, like on the driver's side, it's like actual power to recline, but everything else is a manual adjustment. But like I said, still combining that into the price point, it's nice that you do get a little bit of power adjustment. And then lastly, there is a 7-speaker audio system. So you don't get the higher end premium systems until you work your way up the trim lineup, but even still, the 7-speaker sound system sounds pretty darn good. So next, let's go ahead and hop in the second row. All right, guys, here we are in the rear of the Golf GTI S. And, again, outside, you look at the car, it's a smaller hatchback. It does compromise a little bit of space inside, but it is spacious. I will, considering the overall shape and size of the car, it is good packaging on the inside. So this is my driver seating position. So I can easily fit my feet up under the seat, which is nice. I still have a couple inches of knee room back here. I actually have a lot of headroom, right? That's the fact that it's kind of that boxy hatchback styling. And again, good visibility out of the rear. It's a comfortable place to be. And again, even though there's a lot of cloth material, it's a high quality cloth material and it feels really nice. One of the things to point out here is behind these seats. So there's actually a lot of storage and pockets, which is really nice. So up here at the top of the seats for both the driver and passenger are these like stitched in pockets that you could put your cell phones back here. other little like trinkets and your keys and things like that. So that's really nice. And then you do get two map pockets for both the driver and passenger, which is also really nice. The overall seating surfaces are very nice because it kind of carries over that plaid seating design from the front. You have adjustable headrests in all three positions. There is a slight hump in the floor, so the person sitting in the middle will have to straddle their legs. But you could fit three adults back here for probably a short drive. Kids back here, no problem. If you pull this center armrest down, it does have two cup holders. It's a very nice material, premium design here, and it even gives you a little bit of a pass through to the cargo area, which is nice. Easy access to the child latch system, which is also very nice. So again, if you had a small family, you could get by driving this car. Here in the center, there are vents back here to get airflow. And down below, even on this entry-level trim, are two more USB-C charge ports, which is really, really nice. Again, to the door linings, it's a little bit more harder plastics up top, but you do get a very nice suede material here in the center of the door. Premium switch gear for your windows, and again, a very nice design, even for that entry-level audio system. So a pretty good place to be. But next, let's go ahead and check out the cargo area. All right, next, let's go ahead and check out the cargo space of this 2025 Volkswagen Golf GTI S. So actually how you open it here is kind of tricky. You go ahead and you actually go for the Volkswagen logo. So you kind of push in on the top, you hear it pop, and you almost have to do it again to kind of like unlock it. And then when you do that, you let up and the struts take the hatch open. So there you go. They do that to kind of hide any other latches, but it's nice. And once you're inside here, it's actually a really nice cargo space, kind of premium carpet. You do get this very hard kind of like cargo cover built in. It can be removed, which is nice. You just kind of unlatch it here. But with the seats up, so you do have a 60/40 rear folding seat design. And with the seats up, you have 19.9 cubic feet of space. And if you push those seats down, it actually jumps to 34.5 cubic feet of space, which is a lot, guys. To put things into perspective, on like a small compact SUV these days with the seats up, you probably only got like 25 cubic feet of space. So if you're willing to, push the rear seats down, you're going to be carrying more than a lot of small SUVs in this hot hatch of yours. So if you lift up here in the bottom, there actually is a full-size spare tire as well. So that's actually really nice. So next, let's go ahead and talk about the powertrain. All right, next, let's go ahead and cover the powertrain of this Golf GTI S. Now, doesn't matter which trim you go with, this entry-level S, the SE, or that fully loaded Autobahn trim, they all come with the same engine, transmission, and drivetrain. So keeps it pretty simple here. But even in this, Volkswagen Golf 8.5 generation, they made some enhancements and actually bumped up the power even more. So now this 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine in this configuration here makes 241 horsepower and 273 foot-pounds of torque, made it exclusively to a 7-speed dual clutch transmission called the DSG, and it's front-wheel drive only with a limited slip differential. But there's no better way than to prove that out than to get behind the wheel. So next, let's go ahead and take this thing for a drive.
All right, guys, here we are inside the 2025 Volkswagen Golf GTI S. So we're gonna go ahead and take this thing for a drive. So go ahead and throw on my seatbelt here, foot on the brake, engine start stop button. All right, and then basically foot on the brake, and you take this little stubby knob, you pull it back into D, and then we're gonna set off and go for a drive here. So I'm excited. I haven't driven this 8th generation GTI before, so kind of curious to see how it feels, how it behaves, and just see how it does. I'm gonna do a little surface streets, then hit a couple like longer stretches where I can like really get into it. But I'm also gonna like play around and drive and a few of the different drive modes that the car has, so you can kind of see how it behaves. So the drive modes can, there's kind of in a couple different locations. One, so up here on the center screen, there's like a little car in the top left. If you push that, that actually gets you to the like visualized version of the drive mode setting. So essentially there's this button up here, it's like a little car. If you go ahead and push that, it kind of visualizes your drive mode and some of the other you know, things like your ESC for traction stability, your idle stop, engine start stop, turn that off, and then drive modes here. But there's also like a little hard key button here on the dash for your drive modes. And so there's 4 drive modes, guys. There's an eco, you know, obviously dials back, you know, engine, throttle response, you know, your climate controls to give you, you know, best MPG in the car. But there's also a comfort mode, a sport mode, and then there's even a custom mode. So again, you can kind of piecemeal all the options, make it feel exactly how you like. So, you know, there's a few different ways to do it. So I'm actually going to drive it in a few different modes to get the hang of it. And then also one of the nice features about driving in the sport driving mode, you can actually do launch control. That's right, in this front wheel drive GTI, you can do launch control. So that's really interesting. So we're going to try that out and see how it does. There's a couple caveats to it. You have to be in sport mode, you have to have the ESC turn to sport mode, and then you have to be in the sport transmission setting. So once you like have all those requirements met, then you can go ahead and do launch control in this car. But you know, right now I'm just driving in eco mode, and you know, the nice thing about this car is it's very premium, like I said, especially for its class, especially for the fact that this is the base trim. It's super quiet. It has, you know, really good MVH, noise, vibration, harshness, and again, it's just like a great, easy daily driving car. Again, because I put it back in the eco mode, the engine idle stop kicked on, and so, you know, yeah, it just shuts off, but it's pretty seamless. And then, you know, when you're sitting here at the stoplight, you know, it is a nice feature to have, but you do have to, yes, turn it on and off each time you want to do it. So that was eco mode. I'm going to go ahead into comfort. Still keeps the engine idle stop off, but we're going to go ahead and start driving in that to see how the overall engine and performance of it change. Doesn't feel like there's a huge difference here, but I'm going to get into it a little bit. Even in comfort, it definitely gets up and kind of has like a nice like throaty sound to it. And it's nice because like even for the exhaust, it definitely has a little bit of like a backfire to it, even in the comfort setting. Steering is a little bit lighter in comfort, but again, this is great for like, you know, just maneuvering through parking lots and things like that. But I'm gonna go ahead and actually, you know me, I want to drive in sport mode. Who am I kidding? So we're gonna go ahead and put in sport, and then right away I can feel like the steering got a little bit stiffer, but it's not overly stiff. Throttle response is good. Definitely has a nice like sound to it. The, you know, double clutch transmission, it's really good, guys. This DSG is super fast, super responsive. Like it kind of guess, you know, exactly what gear you want to be in half the time. So yes, there is no more manual in the GTI or the Golf R, but it definitely still has, you know, a lot of character because it's quick and it's fun to drive. And yeah, I'm gonna check it out here. So here we go, wide open throttle. You hear that? Every gear shift, it feels that way. It's very good. Man, it has like a really throaty sound. And I'm gonna back off here because this thing gets up to speed pretty quick, guys. You know, it's interesting too because yeah, you get a little bit more road noise at, you know, at the freeway speeds, but it's still very quiet inside. Still very compliant. You know, the ride quality is really good. You don't get a lot of like road noise, wind noise. You get really, it's very quiet. But man, you know, it's a little bit on the sport stiff side for the suspension, but it's not overly harsh. And again, I think that's the beauty of this car is that you can, you know, definitely drive it daily, but then also go out and hit your favorite canyon roads and have just an absolute ton of fun driving this thing. So, you know, one of the things I was talking about is on this little dongle here, the gear selector, you know, you can kind of pull it back, and then that puts it into drive for like normal drive mode for your transmission. You pull it back, it goes into like S, like sport transmission, and And then if you actually start to use the paddle shifters, it goes from S into M for manual mode. So yes, it will actually shift gears for you. We're going to test this out. So there's fourth gear, there's third gear. You hear that? We're going to see if it automatically upshifts for me. So here we go. Yes, so it did automatically upshift for me. And I'm doing highway speeds and doing pretty good speeds, so that's not uncommon. You know, there are cars that will let you bang it off the rev limiter, but there's something to be said about that, because what it's doing is it's ultimately trying to protect the transmission, right? So that's a really nice setting. And again, I don't mind that it does that for you, but man, these oh, you can hear that little bit of backfire there. So here we go. Yeah, it definitely gets angry in sport mode, and definitely, you know, has a little bit of backfire, get a little bit of pops and crackles, nothing over the top, but yeah, definitely sounds and feels like good. I mean, here we go. Yeah, I mean, the handling is good, has that kind of like go-kart handling to it. You know, again, I think the other thing about this car is because it's so small and easy to place, it's great to like maneuver in and out of traffic, and also pass people on the highway, because you can kind of just squeeze on through. So yeah, that makes it really fun to drive. And here, I'm even in first gear, so it's holding it in first gear for me. Man, this thing is quick. It gets up, guys. And like I said, the fact that it's got that, like, you know, backfire, little bit of pops and crackles, it just makes it more fun. It makes it exciting. And yes, I mean, don't get me wrong, I own a manual car. I love driving 6-speed manual cars, but you know, again, I think this is your only car, this is your daily driver. There's something to be said about having the dual clutch transmission. I really do. So yeah, I mean, I think it feels really good. So I'm gonna actually go ahead and try to do you know, launch mode here. So here we go. I'm gonna give this a whirl. I'm gonna see what happens here. I'm in, make sure I'm in the right mode. I'm in sport mode. I'm in S. Supposed to foot on the brake. Supposed to let's see, you'll wait for the light. I still got light. So again, I want to make sure I have all the right settings, because you do have to make sure the ESC is in sport mode. So I've done that now. Transmissions in sport, cars in sport mode. So I'm gonna try to see how launch control works here. I got wait just another second on the light, but my understanding is just, you know, once you're in the right settings, it's foot on the brake, wide open throttle, and let go. So we're gonna go ahead and see how that feels here. So, all right, launch control program active, and so here we go. Rip it through the tires and automatically upshifts. Sorry, ahead. Yeah, it gets up to speed really quick. That was fun. That was fun. It felt good. It felt really good. And the fact that, like, you know, you even got like a chirp out of the tires there, that made it pretty fun. I like that. You know, again, obviously, if it was the Golf R and you had all-wheel drive, it would have blasted you to 60 and you would have been flying. But I think for what that was definitely fun. And it gave me a really good start. It only chirped the tires for a second, and then I was off. So, I mean, this car is great, guys. It's a lot of fun to drive. It's got great usability, premium features and technology. Let me know your guys' thoughts and comments down below. Is this the best generation of the Golf and the GTI? Do you prefer the previous generations? Let me know your guys' thoughts and comments down below. And as always, let me know if you want to see other competitors to the Golf GTI on the channel, because of course I'd be happy to bring you that content as well. So with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this drive review.
All right, guys, that's a wrap. What did you think of this 2025 Volkswagen Golf GTI S? Is this the best trim in that GTI lineup? Are you going to step up and get something like the SE or that fully loaded Autobahn trim? Remember, if you go that route, now you're talking about $40,000 for this Golf GTI, where this one here, even with DNH, is less than $35,000. So let me know your guys' thoughts and comments down below. Is it worth that extra $5 to go all in and get all the features and all the bells and whistles? Or are you fine with this entry-level S trim? And also, let me know if you want to see other GTI competitors here on the channel, because of course I'd be happy to bring you that content as well. So if you've joined me before, thank you so much. But if you're new to the channel, please be sure to click that bell to subscribe to come back for more. Thanks, and we'll see you at the next episode.